Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. We are recording and I hope everyone can hear me okay. Good morning, educators. Thank you so much for joining us for our monthly webinar series. Our November webinar will cover endorsements and middle school career exploration. Our staff has created many resources to support college and career exploration starting in those middle school grades. And this morning, several of our staff will review teaching and counseling tools on this topic, and we will also cover some district activities and lessons used in the field. Today we have over 50 people registered for the webinar, and we'll go ahead and get started. We have reserved an hour from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So for all of our attendees, you will receive a follow-up email with highlights from the webinar and a link to access the recording. We'll also post all of our webinar content on our website, TEXASOnCourse.org. Feel free to share our webinar and additional resources with your colleagues that will find the information helpful when working with students and families on college and career planning. So just a quick overview of the Zoom format. If you can hear me and see my slides, then you are all set. There's a couple of different settings. The first one is the audio. Everyone that attends the webinar is muted, and we will save time for questions toward the end. There's a raise your hand and lower your hand feature if you'd like to ask a question, but we do have some time to put your questions in the chat box at the end, or also the question and answer box, which looks like this. And then the top right corner, you can change your screen size. So most of the educators that join our webinars are familiar with Texas OnCourse, but if you're new to our resources, we can tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Texas OnCourse is a state-funded initiative designed to improve college and career advising and readiness across the state of Texas. We provide free college, career, and military readiness resources for educators, students, and families that can help your campus and district. Just to provide a quick update, today Texas OnCourse has over 13,300 educators that are registered and actively using our academy. Those educators are represented in over 3,000 schools and in over 900 districts. And in the last year, we've really seen exponential growth and have heard great feedback from counselors and advisors in the field on using our resources. So to give you a quick agenda for today's webinar, we will start with brief introductions of everyone contributing to our webinar this morning. The Texas OnCourse Resource Spotlight will be from Jamie Bell, Curriculum and Instructional Manager from our Content and Resources team. Next, Jaslyn Green will share our popular tools created by the Texas Workforce Commission that are embedded within our curriculum. And then finally, Leader Fellow Mia Bradford will share Houston ISD's implementation plan for delivering college and career instruction at their middle school campuses. Then we'll have an opportunity for guests to ask questions and highlight our future webinars and make a couple of announcements. I'll start with my own short introduction. My name is Laura Guggen. I am Assistant Director of Program Implementation here at Texas OnCourse, and my background is in K through 12 counseling and college and career advising, and I work really closely with our school districts and their implementation of our middle school resources and our academy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaslyn Green. I'm the Associate Director for Content and Resources at Texas OnCourse, background in K-12 and really supporting students with college access. And at Texas OnCourse, I ensure that all of the information included in our tools and resources is accurate and really relevant for your practice.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie Bell. I'm the Curriculum and Instruction Manager. I taught 7th grade science for 10 years and wrote curriculum for my district. And currently I review, revise, edit, develop the curriculum that we have here at Texas OnCourse.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mia Bradford, and I am really glad to say that I'm a Texas OnCourse Leader Fellow. In addition, I am a director in Houston Independent School District in the Department of Innovation and Post-Secondary Programming, and most recently founded a comprehensive college and career readiness program for middle school students and now elementary students called Project Explore. My background is I was a school counselor for 9 years in New York City Department of Education, and after that I was a director of college counseling in the 6th through 12th grade school. So all of my career has been centered around college access and academic advising and ensuring that our students' dreams come true.
Okay, so I'm going to do the resource spotlight. And first we're going to talk about our Academy modules. Laura, if you could go to the next slide. So it's, in case you're unfamiliar, our Academy has recently been updated this past summer, and it looks a little different if you haven't signed in recently. Here's an example of our layout and dashboard. Once you've logged in, you can check your progress and explore the modules. Okay, next. So the next few slides are our training modules that can help educators feel confident in the info that they share with families and students about endorsements and career exploration. So we have the first one is the basic principles of post-secondary pathways. Next. Our other modules around this are career assessments, career clusters, pathways and endorsements, and the high school graduation plan. And here's an example of the different badges that can be earned. Next. The final module is starting early college and career readiness in middle school. So our next resource is Little Galaxy. In partnership with the Workforce Commission, Texas Workforce Commission, we identified the top 100 growing careers in Texas. In the game, the students will complete missions, and they will look at the skills needed to complete those missions and connect those skills with endorsements and career pathways. This is an engaging game where they have and review relevant job information, and the students can also identify their own skills and abilities that they see in the jobs that they come across for the different missions. Next. So like I said, students can identify information that piques their interest when they look at the cards for the different jobs. And our hopes is that students learn about careers that are new to them and enhance their level of awareness through gameplay. Next. Here's an example of a student activity sheet from our curriculum. We have a couple of lessons that incorporate Middle Galaxy in our curriculum guide. This lesson, as well as another one called Bonus Round Bonanza, where the students look at the different skills and relate that to teamwork. Next. Our next resource is MapMyGrad. MapMyGrad is used to help students assess their own personal interest and how those interests align with the endorsements. Next, please. So next, the students can move to the About portion and start with the basics. As you see here, it tells us what it takes to graduate in Texas. This is a great conversation starter. Students can access an outline of the foundation high school program and start thinking about their own 4-year plan. Thanks. Sorry, I forgot to turn my page. So here we encourage students also to explore and study the endorsements themselves. As you can see, the endorsements tab highlighted. And students can connect the endorsements with career pathways on this page. So again, in the curriculum guide, we have lessons designed around the MapMyGrad portion of our resources, and here's an example, Find Your Path, where students reflect on their answer choices to the endorsement quiz and analyze if the endorsement given was the best fit for them. Next. Here we have our newest resource to share, the Endorsement Basics 2-pager. Here they can boost their knowledge and help, you can boost your knowledge, and you can also help students and families navigate the selection process. And our final resource that I would like to share is the Career Fair Toolkit. This was designed by our Leader Fellows, but it's a way that you can incorporate career exploration at the campus level. It has all the things you need to design and implement a career fair at your campus. And I'm going to hand it over to Jaslyn.
Great, thank you, Jamie. Good morning again, everyone. This is Jaslyn. Through our resources, as you've explored them, you may have noticed that we typically highlight several resources from the Texas Workforce Commission. Super excited about the opportunity to be able to partner with them. And some of their resources are definitely super helpful with aiding you as educators and helping students understand endorsements and also explore careers. So when helping students explore careers, we encourage you to utilize the Jobs Y'all site. So this website launched in 2018 to raise awareness about opportunities and benefits of Texas industries. Also to really just inspire and attract young Texans to explore careers and really understand the education and training needs to best position themselves where jobs will be available when they actually enter the workforce. Throughout the website, students have an opportunity to explore more information about careers that are in the top 8 high-paying and also fast-growing industries in Texas. After selecting the industry, students are able to view industry highlights, additional facts that include occupation highlights and education and training options, as well as additional industry and state-specific resources. Under the Career Explorer section, the website provides additional career exploration tools for students to use, and I'm going to highlight a few of those tools found under that section. So one of the tools is the Texas Career Check. Some of you may be familiar with this resource. This resource in 2017 received an award for the Best of Texas winner for the best online resource in terms of providing students with information around career exploration. The Texas Career Check is a great place to help students begin learning about careers. Under their occupations information section, it gives an alphabetical comprehensive list of over 1,100 occupations so that students can learn more about each of the occupation. And I'm going to dive into some of the information that's available to students today. So this is an example of an occupation summary for an accountant occupation. So the site provides a brief description of the occupation, annual wage information, employment rates, as well as the education level and the day-to-day job tasks. One nice thing about this section is that it also includes information on which endorsement area this occupation falls under to really help students begin to make the connection between their endorsement and their careers of interest. Another neat feature about the website is it also includes videos on daily and kind of light tasks for most of the occupations, so students can really gain a better understanding of the on-the-job tasks, the types of organizations who employ these occupations, along with those required education as well as skills that are necessary for each particular occupation. In addition to the job tasks, the occupation summary also includes specific Texas regional employment information This truly helps students understand how many jobs will be available in their region for each occupation, along with the annual salary and potential job openings by the time they enter the workforce. So it truly just helps students make more informed decisions about selecting and entering career fields that are within their region and also throughout the state. The occupation summary also includes information about available certifications and other occupation titles. This is super helpful in career exploration. Maybe students are interested in an accountant because they really enjoy certain job tasks. And so this information it really just helps them with exploring additional occupations that offer some of those similar job tasks. Throughout the site, students also have the option to compare two occupations. So the search results really provides a side-by-side comparison of general information of each occupation. It shows labor market information, and it also highlights the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are required. When comparing those occupations, students have the option to print the information or save it as a PDF. This could be really helpful in terms of having students maybe complete this task prior to you introducing the lesson or even advising students so they have specific information to discuss related to each occupation that they're interested in. There is also information about military occupations. And so when we think about CCMR and preparing for college career and military readiness, students have an opportunity to really view what branches offer each occupation, learn more information about what they do, what's the training provided, what is the work environment like, and even more information about which career cluster is it related to. The last feature we'd like to highlight from the Texas Career Check website is the Career Entrance Profiler. This is a free career assessment that we definitely encourage you to have your students take if you're not already introducing a career assessment to the students. Students are asked to answer 60 questions to identify occupations relevant to their likes and interests. The results lead students to a list of occupations that they can further explore with their personality type scores. So the occupations are categorized for the students as far as best fit, great fit, or good fit. The last thing I'll mention about the interest profiler is if a student saves their personality type scores and they'd like to visit the site later, there is an option in this right-hand corner where students can quickly enter those scores and just go right back to those occupations that they were truly interested in. Under the Career Explorer of the Jobs JAWS site, it also includes the Texas Reality Check tool. I'm sure you get questions from students about how much money they can make within a certain career. So the Texas Reality Check really shows students how much their living expenses will cost if they're able to really just afford their desired lifestyle. The Lifestyles and Occupations calculator can help students understand if the occupations they're interested in will pay enough to cover their monthly expenses and how their cost of living may vary by location. This site really lives up to its name. I remember back to just introducing this to 9th and 10th graders in the high school level and even some of the middle school students. And they really started off with just saying, I want a huge mansion and a really expensive car. And then after everybody saw how much they were going to take home, they quickly began to just adjust their lifestyle. So definitely encourage you to use this tool with your students and families. And the last resource that we'll highlight also on the Career Explorer section of the Jobs JAWS website is the Texas Internship Challenge. This provides students with the opportunity to make real-world connections to their career of interest. So the Internship Challenge helps students search and also apply for internships with Texas employers. Internships are a great way to explore careers in a real-world setting, really gain some of those marketable skills, and also network with professionals. This site helps students even work on creating their first resume, also searching and applying for opportunities by occupation and also location. All of the resources we've highlighted are available on the JobsJal website. This website can really be used for you as educators, counselors, and even families to connect students and their children with information about what are those top industries, high wage, high growth opportunities in Texas. And now I will turn it over to Mia Bradford to share some campus level best practices and talk a little bit about college and career curriculum. Mia.
Thank you, Jaslyn. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and talk about how we in HISD implement college and career readiness curriculum. So as I mentioned earlier, my superintendent last year wanted to create a comprehensive college and career readiness program for middle school students because she realized the importance of starting earlier than high school in order to increase our college and career going rates. And so I put together a proposal and it was accepted and funded, which is always awesome, and Project Explore was born. So we actually started out in 10 middle schools last summer, and this year we have expanded to 28 middle schools across our district, and we are now piloting in 4 elementary schools because we want to make sure that we are engaging our students as early as possible. We can go on to the next slide. So the mission of Project Explore is to equip our middle school students with the experiences and skills necessary to make informed decisions as they navigate their secondary and post-secondary education and career pathways. So what does that mean for us? That means experiences. We want to make sure to expose our students to as many options as they have, and Texas OnCourse has definitely helped us to provide resources to our students and families. We can go to the next slide. So just to give you an overview of what this looks like on the middle school level. So the way that we connect our students to college and career opportunities, we have school day explorations, and I'll talk more about that in the next slide. We have after school expeditions, weekend excursions, summer experiences, and one-on-one advising along with college and career readiness curriculum. Okay, next slide. So our advisors, we have an advisor on each of our 28 middle school campuses, and then we have a manager who supports the 4 elementary campuses. And our advisors actually recruit 75 students, so 25 students in each grade level, so 25 6th, 25 7th, and 25 8th graders, and those students make up the Project Explore cohort. In addition to supporting their 75 students in their cohort, they also aim to impact the campus by creating a college and career ready culture. So a couple things that we do for the campus as a whole is that we deliver college and career readiness curriculum to all of the 8th graders, or as many 8th graders as we have access to on the campus. And we do that during the fall. And then we reach the 7th graders with the Texas OnCourse curriculum during the spring. We also put on a college and career fair for the entire campus. And then we have field trips, which are for our cohort students. However, we have extra space on the bus. Oftentimes we'll partner with maybe an AVID teacher or a wraparound specialist and allow other students on the campus to attend. And one of our biggest assets, I think, is our one-on-one advising, because that's when the student, we really get to dive deep on the assessments that the students do around their interests and their goals, and talk to the student about what that path is going to look like to make that a reality. For our 8th graders, we do 3 one-on-one advising sessions. For our 7th graders, we do 2 one-on-one advising sessions, and our 6th graders, we do 1 advising session. We also offer cohort meetings, and during our cohort meetings, we focus on soft skills, because we all know that even though there's a technical aspect to college and career readiness, we also know how important our public speaking skills are, knowing how to network, knowing how to interact with different types of people, teamwork, and things like that. And those are the things that we cover in our cohort meetings. Of course, we take our students on in-state and out-of-state college tours. So over the summer, we took our students to Louisiana State University, as well as Southern University. And then during the school year, we are out and about around Houston and outside of Houston, because we know a lot of our students never get to leave their neighborhood. So we go to places like U of H. We take them to UT, Prairie View, Texas A&M. So we really try to get them outside their comfort zone. We can go to the next slide. We also take them on industry visits, because we know that ultimately all of our students hopefully will go into the workforce. So we want to expose them to as many types of industries as possible. And we do look at the high demand industries. So for example, we had some students go to the National Manufacturing Day, the Lone Star Flight Museum, Energy Day, so they're learning about STEM. We also took them to the Longhorn Project, which is a pretty cool experience where they get to learn about agriculture as well as NASA. So it was really cool, a really cool STEM experience. A lot of our students are interested in health sciences. In Houston, you know, we have the largest medical center in the nation. So it's really great for them to learn about health sciences. And then we have some really great conferences that come through our city as well. So we took a lot of our students to the Houston Hispanic Forum Career and Education Day. And I happen to be the middle school chair, so I get to help plan this event. And so here's some photos of our cohort meetings. And so this is where, again, students do a deep dive into the soft skills. So you can see some of our students are working on vision boards, presentation skills. They have industry professionals that come in and share about their careers. We also have mentoring, and students are actually able to do some hands-on projects and do some experiments as well. And here's some photos from our summer experience. So in the upper right-hand corner, we took some students out to the zoo because we want to expose, again, our students to as many options as possible. They got to go to the Apple Store and learn how to code. They got to go to the aquarium and not only meet some stingrays, but they also got a behind-the-scenes look at the restaurant at the aquarium and what it's like to manage a restaurant. And they had a culinary experience where they were actually able to bake cookies. And then the last pictures on the far right, you see students having an experience with learning how to build robots and code robots to actually, they made little cars so that they can program them to move across the room. So how do we plan our curriculum? Well, it's a three-step process. It seems simple, but it definitely takes some planning. So the first thing that the principal does at our middle school level is that they decide on who the designee will be. If the campus is a Project Explorer campus, then our Project Explorer advisors will deliver the curriculum, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. The designee then attends training. So we have trainings over the summer, and then the principal and the designee will determine a course to push into, and they will set up the 3 dates. 3 dates are for the 7th grade curriculum and 4 dates for the 8th grade curriculum. So our curriculum is pretty short, so it doesn't take up a whole semester. So that's why we push into classes where we can reach a majority of the students. So going back to step one, I like to call these people our champions in the work. So these are the people who are in front of our students on a daily basis and are delivering this curriculum to our students and helping them to connect why it's important. So again, we have 28 Project Explorer advisors across our district. We have 53 middle schools. So hopefully one day we'll have a Project Explorer advisor on every campus. If the campus doesn't have a Project Explorer advisor and they have a counselor, because again, not every campus has a counselor, the counselor may be asked to deliver the curriculum. Or it could be a teacher, a coach. It really just depends on the campus. And we're not a centralized district, and so that's why the person who delivers the curriculum may vary across campus. Next slide. So I wanted to start with our 7th grade curriculum, because this is where we introduce our students to endorsements and career pathways. So we have 3 modules. We do Module 1 in January, Module 2 in February, and Module 3 in March, because we want to make sure our curriculum is completed prior to when we go into STAR testing. So in Module 1, this is where we do more exploratory. So this is where our 7th graders take the cluster finder in Naviance, and they discover what career cluster matches their personality or matches their interest. Modules 2 and 3 are actually lessons that we took directly from the Texas OnCourse curriculum. So we use Unit 1, Lesson 3, which is on investigating career clusters and programs of study. And then for Module 3, we use Unit 1, Lesson 4, which is understanding the 5 high school endorsements. So really in 7th grade, we set the stage for endorsement and career pathways. So again, either a project explorer advisor or a counselor or designee will facilitate the classroom instruction based on what they learn through training. Our best practices is really to push through social studies or science, because of course every student has one of those 2 classes, or actually both those classes. But in some cases, we have to push through electives. So that means that we have to do a lot more planning on our end to make sure that we reach a majority of the students. And then we use surveys in Naviance at the end of each lesson to check for understanding. So for Module 1, this is the agenda that we have in our curriculum. So for this particular Module 1, it's actually the same module for 7th grade and 8th grade. And you see My Personal Highway, that is the name of our 8th grade course. So the first thing we have our students do is to take a college and career readiness pre-survey, because we really want to know where they are in terms of aspirations and what knowledge they already have. We also have a partnership, or we're developing a partnership with Upskill Houston, which is a part of the Greater Houston Partnership. And the Greater Houston Partnership has an arm that partners businesses with education entities. So that way, we can be sure that we're actually preparing our students to be valuable in the workforce. And so that's what that survey is for, just to kind of assess what the needs are of our students here in HISD and how our business community in Houston can support our students in their efforts. Then we show a Road Trip Nation video. We show only 2 minutes of that, and this video is centered around first-generation college students and what it meant to them and their families for them to be first generation and why it was so important. Then we had some videos created, and we have a video called Who Am I that we show, and then we end the lesson with the career cluster finder assessment, which is in Naviance. And I know not every district has Naviance, so again, you can use the assessment that Jaslyn just talked about from jobsjaw.com. So in Module 2, this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the career clusters. So we have the students to use the links that you see here, and again, you'll get all this information. We have a lot of links and resources to share, and that you'll get that at the end of the webinar. But essentially, we have our students, as they're doing their research, they are completing this sheet called Investigating Career Clusters. And basically the questions that are being asked on that sheet, I'm going to actually zoom in so I can tell you what it says. So the students go to this website, tinyurl.com/cluster16, And what they're doing, so the cool thing about this module is centered on research, and in the TEKS for 7th grade, they also have research. So what we're trying to really do is to have the students use skills that they're learning in their English class or ELA class. So once they're on that website, and you can totally use this website for yourself as well, students are going to write 2 to 3 sentences describing the career cluster they're researching. And remember, in Module 1, they took a career cluster assessment. So for our students, they can actually go back into Naviance if they forgot for some reason and look at their career cluster results. They will write out the 2 to 3 sentences, and after that, they're going to list 3 jobs within that cluster. Then they are going to use the TexasCareerCheck.com website. So we use a lot of the resources that Jaslyn just mentioned. They go into the Texas Career Check website, and then they're going to look up those 3 careers and write down what endorsements those careers fall under. So we're helping them make the connection. The 4th question asks them to write out what type of education they need for the career they want to pursue. And depending on how much time, every advisor or counselor has a different amount of time that they can deliver the curriculum. So if they have a whole class period, the student may be able to research 3 different jobs. But if they only have about half an hour, the student may only be able to research 1 job. And then finally, for question 5, it asks, what are the top 3 skills needed for this career? So from there, the student then takes a survey in Naviance where they have to actually record this information that they wrote on their worksheet in Naviance. And the reason why we have them do it on paper first is because sometimes, with technology challenges, it's hard for students to go back and forth between websites. So all they really have to do is have their worksheet in front of them and transfer this information into the survey on Naviance. And the cool thing about Naviance is that this information follows them all the way through 12th grade. So all of our students from 6th to 12th grade have access to Naviance. So if they ever need to refer back to this information, they always have it. It's like an online notebook. Next slide. So in Module 3, this is where we talk about the 5 high school endorsements. So we get our 7th graders ready. The first thing that we do is we have them to pull up their career cluster results again in Naviance. Then they complete, which we'll show you in the next slide, the career clusters to endorsement activity worksheet. They then do the MapMyGrad survey. So this is where they look to see which endorsements will be a good fit for their interests. So they do that assessment. Then they do a group activity with the Exploring the 5 high school endorsements. And then we have a video for them. This is kind of a long lesson because we want to make sure that they really understand what endorsements are. Because for a lot of our 7th graders, this may be the first time that they're hearing about endorsement. We then do a review or a check for understanding, and then they complete their Exploring Endorsement survey in Naviance, and they do the middle school post survey. So that's the same survey that they took in Module 1, but we just want to check to see if anything has changed after going through the lessons. So I wanted to just pull out some of the activities from that agenda that we do. So this is actually a resource from Texas OnCourse, and I got it from the, if you are familiar with the Texas OnCourse Academy, where we have professional development, it's one of my favorite places to go if I need a resource. It's actually, I will put the link in the chat for you so that you can easily access this wonderful infographic. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And that is where this particular infographic is located. So what we have our students do is to circle the results of the career cluster on this worksheet. So they all have a copy of this. And then this is how we have them to translate the clusters to the endorsement. So if they, were in health sciences, then they learned that their endorsement is in public service. And then we also have them to use some additional worksheets that have more details on the endorsements, and then they work in groups to kind of highlight what are some things that they learned about that endorsement, and then they do a share out with the class. Next slide. So the way we measure success is, again, through the surveys in Naviance, and I mentioned those briefly. But in Module 1, our 7th graders do complete the cluster finder. Module 2, they create, the Module 2 and Module 3 are surveys that I created internally to kind of capture information that students will need later when it's time for them to complete their personal graduation plan. So these are the names of the surveys, and if anyone has, you want to see copies of the surveys or anything like that, I'm happy to share those with you. All right, next slide. So our 8th graders. So we have created an internal course called My Personal Highway, and this is what our 8th graders complete in the fall. So they do one module per month. So September started Module 1, and we should wrap up Module 4 in December. Now, some of our superstar advisors are full speed ahead, and they're already done with all the modules. So a lot of our 8th graders already have their personal graduation plans completed. So again, we have Naviance surveys that correlate with each module. So our 8th graders complete the career key in Naviance for Module 1. For Module 2, after they do the high school research lesson, and just to give you context on high school research, we are a district of choice. So a lot of our students take advantage of being able to choose their high school, either if they want to do an early college high school, or if they want to do a college preparatory high school, single gender, career focused. They have so many options, and we have a lesson to kind of help them, or actually 2 lessons to help them narrow down what is a good fit for them. So in Module 2, well, we kind of do a recap. You can move forward, that's fine. In Module 2, we do a recap on what is an endorsement, because by the time they get to Module 2, it's been about 6 months or so since they've had their lesson in 7th grade on endorsements. So we show students a House Bill 5 educational video, and you too can access that video on YouTube. It's just called literally spell out House Bill and then 5 educational video, and it'll come up. So that's about 3 minutes or so. And then we have the students complete this worksheet here. And this acronym that you see, BAMP, is just an easy way for students to remember the 5 endorsements. So B, is for business and industry. A is for arts and humanities, multidisciplinary, public service, and STEM. So it's just an easy way for kids to remember. And then at the bottom of that worksheet, we have a link to the different endorsements on our HISD website. And what we have the students do is write down what high school they're zoned to, what endorsements are offered at that school, because as you know, every school doesn't have every endorsement. And then we have them write out what high school they would like to attend, and then what endorsement that high school offers. So we really want to have them to really think at a high level and make those connections. So this is just a slide. I took a couple of slides from our actual lesson plans. We talked to our students about preferences in terms of high school. So just like when you're talking to 12th graders about selecting a college, we actually talk to our middle schoolers about the same things, like what endorsement do they offer, what type of extracurriculars, what size high school are you looking for, location, are you willing to travel to get to your school? So we have these same conversations that we will have so that by the time students are ready to select their post-secondary institutions, they are already familiar with making informed decisions. In here, you see one of the tools that we use is the HISD Career Pathways booklet. It is a wonderful booklet. This is, we have a updated version, which we have hard copies of, but this booklet is so crucial in helping our kids research because it has the career cluster, then the endorsement, and then what high schools offer it, as well as what high schools offer certain certifications. Because that's another thing, that some of our kids may want to go directly into the workforce, and we have hundreds of certifications that we offer within HISD. We also teach them the importance of how to research the school using the school's website, and we encourage them to visit the school either on School Choice Thursdays, which our high school campuses are open every Thursday at 1 p.m. for parents and students to visit, and we have district school choice fairs, in addition to the magnet programs coming to our campuses. So we really highlight researching the programs. And then here, this is a worksheet. This is a slide of a worksheet. But we have the students, again, in 8th grade, list out what careers they're interested in, what endorsement aligns to that career, and then what high school offers that career pathway and endorsement. And then they put this into a survey on Naviance. So again, the cool thing about it is that not only does the student have access to this when they're doing their PGP, but their future high school counselor also has access to this information when they're doing advising sessions. So to wrap up, of course we want to include parents because as we know, with the personal graduation plans, the parents are eventually going to have to sign off. But again, we want to empower our students to be able to have informed conversations with their parents. So I mentioned with Project Explore, we offer one-on-one advising sessions to our eighth graders and to their parents. So we've started to implement this advising tool, and this tool actually comes from the Texas OnCourse Family Guide. It's page 29. It comes in English and in Spanish. And what the advisors will have the student to fill out this form with the possible endorsements they're looking to pursue. What are the 4 courses of interest? And our advisors actually have all the CTE pathways or career and technical education pathways, so they can help the student write out the courses that align with that endorsement. And then the student will fill in their careers of interest. So when their parent comes in for the one-on-one meeting, they can actually show their parents that they have a well thought out plan, and this is why they want to pursue this endorsement and how it connects to this career. So that is how we engage with our parents. We also offer an 8th grade parent event district-wide, and we should have every middle school in our district should have had an 8th grade parent event. It could be a breakfast, evening event, or midday by November 8th. And in that presentation, we actually go over school choice, we go over endorsements, we go over personal graduation plan, and enrichment opportunities for their student, both in middle school and in high school. So we try to get them ready as early as possible for the transition that is coming sooner than they think. So that is what we do here in HISD. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Mia, and also thank you to our content team, Jaslyn and Jamie, for our resource spotlight and the workforce resources that are so helpful. I know we've covered a lot, and thank you, Mia, for putting that link into the chat box. For any attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to add those now and we will cover them. And then we just have a couple of announcements before we close out. I do just want to reiterate that we have a lot of resources that we have cited and mentioned and shown screenshots of. And in our summary email, we will add as much content as we possibly can so you can see that information. So go ahead and add any questions that you may have, and we'll go ahead and answer those. So for those of you who are attending live, if you want to think about any questions, I will cover a couple of more things before we wrap up our webinar. Right now, we do have an endorsement toolkit and badge contest going on. This is a link that will give you access to all that information, and we will, of course, send it to you. But if you are able to complete our endorsement badge in the Academy and you take a screenshot of your badge, and then you can enter to win a $50 Amazon gift card. We've had quite a few folks enter already. So we will send that link to you. And I also want to just say that the endorsement toolkit, which we will provide for you, has the 2-pager that Jamie went over, and has many other endorsement resources for your middle school endorsement curriculum and activities with students and parents. The other contest that we have going on, because it is still college applications and financial aid season, we're doing a badge contest for those topics as well. So if you can complete those badges and take a screenshot of your badge, you will also enter to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Lots of different social media outlets to do so. And also it's great to get the information by learning and accumulating those badges on those topics. And then just some quick announcements. We have 2 webinars coming up in December and January. The December webinar, we're going to talk about understanding the A through F accountability system and making an impact using Texas OnCourse, and really just understanding the framework of that system that's currently in place in Texas. And then in January, we will switch gears and talk a little bit about resources for working with families that come from special circumstances or unique circumstances. So that's our link to our monthly webinar series. And so you can register for those that are up and coming. Also see the recordings of previous webinars. And as you know, we talk about high school topics as well as middle school topics in our series. And I don't see any questions. So I just want to thank you all so much for attending, and you will hear from me very soon with an email on recording links and resources. So thank you again to Mia, Jaslyn, and Jamie for all of your valuable information this morning. All right, we will end there. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye-bye.